You may now begin your presentation.
At Enactus, Ottawa, we believe that real change requires a long-term outlook and a commitment to see things through. We believe that real solutions can be achieved, but not in the span of months or even a year.
In the 6 years since our team began, we've remained true to our founding vision of unlocking the potential of Canadians right here at home and of building truly sustainable businesses that can scale.
That's why we build our projects by putting people first, not for competition, headlines, or awards, but to truly change lives.
As we've always done, we'll only share what we've accomplished this year, led by students, not our faculty or community partners.
And we won't hide it from you. There are times when things don't go to plan, but it's how we've responded to those challenges and still achieved our goals that tells the story of our team.
Last year, in the final round of this competition, we made a promise to you to follow through on a multi-year commitment we made to communities in Canada's north, where entire communities live in a cycle of poverty and are locked out from the opportunities and prosperity that Canada can afford. Our story begins 3 years ago during our first trip to Iqaluit, Nunavut.
In Nunavut, 49% of people lack adequate housing. Nearly 20% of Nunavummiut can't find work, and food insecurity affects 70% of households.
We knew that to be successful, we needed a model that wasn't only about solving just one of these problems. That we need to build not one, but a series of complementary projects to holistically address these issues.
But most importantly, we needed to understand that solutions had to come from within the community. We wouldn't be successful if we thought we could solve problems for them. Instead, we needed to work with them and learn from people who knew these issues the best.
Over the course of the last 2 years, we've consulted and worked with over 300 community members and experts to ensure we found a solution that fit. But it didn't happen overnight. We've traveled 7 different times to Iqaluit to get input on our ideas, eliminate those that wouldn't work, and improve upon others, until we were left with successful ideas that did resonate with the local community.
Our end result is a series of social enterprises we created to tackle the most important community issues in the areas of health and wellness, economic opportunity, and education. This year, we completed the first stage of our plan, creating these businesses and scaling their impact.
And starting next year, proceeds from these social enterprises will be invested into the second phase of our plan to realize our ultimate vision, a fully self-sustaining, subsidized housing complex for the most vulnerable, who would not only be housed, but would also be provided with training and employment in our businesses.
The first problem our team addressed this year is one that plagues over 200,000 Canadians in nearly 300 of our nation's northern communities.
That problem is food insecurity. The UN defines this as the lack of consistent access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food. In Nunavut, fresh produce is scarce, and due to long supply chains, what is available is often overpriced and already rotten by the time it reaches store shelves, leaving 70% of households hungry every day. It's also a business problem. One of the food retailers we spoke to loses $20 million on produce spoilage alone, 3 times higher than the national average.
We decided to tackle this by building The Grocer, a social enterprise that grows produce year-round while employing and empowering at-risk individuals in the community.
To do so, our team partnered with an Alaskan hydroponics company who developed our proprietary Arctic growing system. Our plug-and-play hydroponic farm is housed within 40-foot shipping containers and grows the equivalent of 2.5 acres of crops in just 320 square feet. This approach grows produce 12 times faster than traditional growing methods, using 91% less water. All of this in minus 52-degree weather. Our partners launched the first 2 systems in the field last summer in Arctic Alaska and have confirmed these metrics over the course of the past year.
To truly design our project for greatest impact, and more importantly, give these remote communities the power of choice, each grocer system is owned and operated by a local entrepreneur or institution that makes the initial investment into starting our project. It's not a handout. They choose to invest because they see the economic value in taking it on.
To launch their farm, our team mentors our partners in each community to ensure they're equipped to succeed. We walk them through our 4-step process.
The first step begins once a local partner demonstrates interest in our project. We work with them to conduct market research and a feasibility assessment to determine how the grocer can be set up in their community. In Iqaluit, our local operators will be using the grocer system to run a weekly farmers market and sell the remaining produce to the local grocery store. With just one system, they'll be able to create 10 jobs for Inuit with disabilities and reinvest all the profits back into buying more systems.
Once feasibility is proven, we then connect them to our network of funders and provide template business plans, financial projections, and operational plans so that each local operator has everything they need to receive financing or funding.
And they've seen great success, like our operators in Churchill, Manitoba, who just lined up $500,000 to launch their first project. That's because funders see a clear case for investment. Each grocery system that's purchased repays itself within only 3.5 years and creates permanent jobs in a community for 3 entire decades. And while we've built our project as a social enterprise to maximize our impact, it's also a viable business.
For each of these operators, we've confirmed that just one grocery system earns more than $75,000 annually at 70% gross margins. All that while reducing the retail price of food by 50% to the end consumer. After all business costs, including OPEX, taxes, loan repayments, and depreciation, they can take home annual net profits north of $40,000. And because they earn such healthy margins for only 14 hours of work per week, they're incentivized to sustain the project.
And that's how we define true sustainability. Building projects with investable returns and creating a sound structure so that they can keep operating for years to come, even without the support of our Enactus team.
In fact, we've been so successful that the CEO and senior executives at the Northwest Company, the largest retailer in the North, flew to see our partner systems in Alaska. We're now in negotiations to see them buying produce from our operators, and they've also shown interest in co-investing in our systems.
To ensure the sustainability of this project for our team, we developed 3 revenue streams. The first is earned upon the sale of each system, which is sold at $160,000 at 38% margins. We then charge a per diem consulting fee for training and on-site installation, which covers the cost for our team to travel to these communities. And finally, we've created a recurring revenue stream through software subscriptions, which allows our team to remotely monitor and automate each system via satellite.
To manufacture our systems, our Alaskan partners began by contracting a modular home builder in Washington State. Enactus Canada then connected us to Enactus NATE because of their school's specialty in the trades. Student apprentices at NATE couldn't find work, so together with a local manufacturer, we helped them launch a brand new Enactus project manufacturing grocery systems called NATE Crates. In fact, just 2 weeks ago, the BDC provided us with the final $150,000 we needed to launch this second manufacturing facility and start building with NATE.
Through NATE Crate, each build provides 5 students with a total of 1,000 hours experience towards their apprentice hours to graduate. This collaboration with another Enactus team is also a testament to what can be accomplished when we join forces to leverage each other's strengths and have a greater impact. In fact, it's allowed us to scale our total manufacturing capacity to 92 systems annually. That's a new system every 4 days.
We then move to the third step. The local customer puts down a deposit and we ship them the system fully assembled and ready to grow. Once installed, it operates with little reliance on the local infrastructure, using only 1 water delivery per month and 5 homes worth of electricity per year, allowing our system to operate in even the smallest of communities.
However, the challenge was that people in our target communities had no experience operating a commercial farm. In order to make everything more user-friendly, we implemented an automation system that adjusts growing conditions to optimal levels every 4 seconds and allows anyone to pick it up with only 2 days training.
High-density insulation and heaters allow for 75-degree temperature differentials in our systems, meaning we can operate in temperatures as cold as minus 52 degrees without experiencing any loss of productivity.
In order to achieve yields of 12,000 pounds of produce per year, our operators are growing 2,250 plants on 3-week rotations. This means that our system can consistently feed 108 people 5 servings of vegetables every day, year-round, sustaining entire communities, even in the dead of winter, when people are most vulnerable.
And let us be clear, these aren't projections on paper, or simply a best guess at how well our technology could operate. These figures have actually been achieved and maintained in our target communities year-round.
With a high-density farming operation in such a small space, we ran into another unexpected challenge. Plants were growing so quickly that they ate up all the CO2 in the air, and plant yields crashed as a result.
We began by artificially adding more CO2 to our growing rooms, but then saw an opportunity to divert existing greenhouse gas emissions to grow better plants faster. Through a recent research partnership, each grocery system can now consume over 36 tons of CO2 annually for plant growth by connecting our systems to nearby building exhausts. Thanks to this partnership, we'll be moving this technology outside of the lab and testing it in the field this summer.
With this strong foundation to scale our impact across Canada, we ran into a third challenge, that our target communities had never had access to fresh produce before.
So how would we go about teaching entire communities the benefits of eating fresh produce and the process of preparing these meals? We decided to take a 2-pronged approach.
We began by introducing hydroponic technology in the form of these towers in every school and communities where a grocer system is planned. These towers help educate youth about nutrition by growing up to 70 pounds of produce in their classroom every year. In combination with a trilingual nutrition curriculum developed by a Northerner on our team, we're now taking a bottom-up approach to teaching the community.
Next, we needed to make it not only more affordable, but also more convenient to eat healthy, while integrating traditional foods people were already familiar with. So we partnered with experts to design locally inspired recipe kits with a modern spin. Not only do these recipe kits help making meals more affordable, it's also educating residents, as been proven to increase produce sales exponentially.
In only 1 year, the grocer has secured over $250,000 in funding, and we've already lined up paying customers for the coming quarter. These represent sales, not grants or donations, of over $1.4 million. And we've already made commitments to deploy these 8 additional systems across Canada, all of which will be operational before September.
The grocer's innovative approach allows it to sustain itself for decades without the direct support of our Enactus team. Thanks to this strong foundation, the work we've done so far will provide affordable food for 4,300 people, create 29 permanent jobs, divert nearly 340 tons of CO2 annually, and generate $3.4 million in local economies.
But Arctic food insecurity is just the beginning. Having proven our system in some of the world's harshest conditions, we recognize that our technology can help tackle the global food shortage. Using grocer systems, communities everywhere can reduce 2/3 of their food spoilage and grow the same amount of food with 91% less water and less than 1% of the landmass when compared to traditional agriculture.
And we're only getting started. In Canada, we currently have over $4 million in our sales pipeline, and we're in the process of deploying 4 more pilots to demonstrate viability in both the urban farming and industrial markets.
Thanks to our triple bottom line approach, we're addressing the food and health crisis in the Arctic, targeting educational gaps in food literacy, and reinvigorating entire regions in some of Canada's most impoverished communities.
But the grocer is just one of the pieces of our Northern Project portfolio. Reducing the price of food and educating residents just didn't go far enough if people still couldn't afford to eat. From our assessments on the ground and a recent report by Canada's Inuit organization, we understood that hunger was a part of a larger set of interconnected issues revolving around poverty.
The only way to solve all these problems was to empower people to develop their own solutions, create jobs, tear down barriers to growth, and ensure it was driven by Northerners for Northerners so it could sustain itself long after our team was gone.
The best tool to do this was sparking entrepreneurial action as a real, tangible way to lift people up and build prosperity.
In our needs assessment, we saw 2 main gaps. First, entrepreneurs lacked formal business knowledge and had no source of mentorship. Second, most funding programs required entrepreneurs to have a registered commercial address. But commercial space is 60% more costly in Iqaluit than downtown Ottawa, making it completely inaccessible for most in the city.
So we took action and created the Iqaluit Innovation Hub, a social enterprise that gives entrepreneurs access to affordable commercial space and all the resources needed to successfully launch and grow their business.
Welcome to the Hub, a 2,000 square foot co-working space that we share with our community partner offering business accelerators, where aspiring entrepreneurs can work directly with our team to create and launch their very own businesses in target industries. Currently, the Hub runs 2 accelerator programs, supporting businesses focusing on trades and food.
Thanks to the Hub, Sarah and Jamesy were able to address Iqaluit's waste management problem. They were able to start their very own social enterprise that upcycles discarded wood into quality furniture. They've raised over $20,000 in grant funding and have secured 2 commercial contracts.
And remember, our grocer operators in Iqaluit, they're now participating in the Food Accelerator and will be launching a business that uses grocer produce to package and sell ready-made meals while employing Inuit with disabilities.
The Hub is also a sustainable business itself. By charging $500 a month to the 6 entrepreneurs who can use the space, our business can generate $36,000 per year in revenues. The 50% profit margin is reinvested into the broader housing project, and that's not including over $30,000 we've raised this year in grants and sponsorships.
The grocer and the Iqaluit Innovation Hub are just the beginning of what we can accomplish with our Northern Projects portfolio. Both businesses are providing employment to individuals who will live in our housing and subsidize the cost of the residential units, allowing us to complete our closed-loop system for addressing all 3 areas of development across the North.
Last year, we made a promise to you and to the communities we serve, and we've upheld those commitments. Now, we're excited to give you a glimpse into a brand new project, continuing our commitment to focus on issues that matter right in our own backyard.
In Ottawa, nearly 300,000 people live in food deserts, neighborhoods where families don't have access to fresh produce due to income, mobility challenges, and location. Families such as Marianne's can't access healthy options, and as a result, suffer from the highest rates of obesity in Ontario.
For families in food deserts, the only option many have is to buy food at the local corner store, where fresh options are limited. We saw an opportunity to tackle food deserts while also empowering these small business owners.
We recognized that providing access to fresh produce wasn't enough. We needed to also change the behaviors of residents who had never had access to healthy options before.
So we created Sprout, a social enterprise that sells fresh produce and do-it-yourself meal kits through corner stores and food deserts. Our meal kits make it simple for people to prepare healthy meals for their families, all under $5.
We also recognize that these store owners lacked capital. So Sprout uses a consignment business model and makes the upfront investment in retrofitting each store to carry produce. The store is then connected to our distribution network, and we take care of all marketing and logistics. The store owner then receives a 10% commission of sales in return for a prime location in their store.
We're also catalyzing our entire community to work alongside us. After hearing about the food insecurity issue through Sprout, Mo bought a convenience store in a local food desert to partner with Sprout and help tackle the problem with us.
After running our initial pilot, Sprout launched its second store in January of this year. We just signed an agreement to launch a new store in the next 6 weeks, funded entirely by revenues from our existing stores. We're also working with Auto Market Mobile, a mobile produce store, which has brought Sprout's products to 6 more food deserts in the city.
Major organizations are also taking notice. The Canadian Produce Marketing Association approached us to develop kits from recipes created by Chef Michael Smith from the Food Network to offer a larger selection of easy-to-prepare meals.
In just 1 year, Sprout has impacted over 4,000 members of our community and is set up to impact thousands more. Sprout is making fresh options available in food deserts and has already improved the lives of nearly 80,000 people in our city.
And this is how real change can be achieved. Building projects with communities to create long-term solutions that they can lead for decades to come.
With our team of 111 students,
We're running 8 projects.
Contributing over 41,000 volunteer hours.
and impacting the lives of thousands. This year, we saw Arctic food insecurity, poverty and unemployment, and urban.
The presentation time has now expired. We will now begin the question and answer period.
Good call. So just go. It's all good.
Hi there. So for grocer, what is the upfront investment required for the local entrepreneur?
The investment includes $160,000 for the upfront cost of the system. Other capex like land prep tends to be about $20,000. And the $160,000 I should mention includes shipping and delivery. So that's the upfront investment that's needed. Within 9 weeks, we get the system to them, and within 6, they have a fully ready crop ready for market that can be sold.
Hi, question on the container. So you guys mentioned you partnered with the company to help build this. Who owns the IP? Do they still own it? Do you guys own it? Can you help explain that a little bit?
Sure. The Alaskan company we partnered with developed the technology. We built the business model and all the social innovation pieces you saw today. The pilots in Alaska were so successful that we actually bought the rights to the IP, so we now own that. And moving forward, what we're doing is getting an IRAP grant in the coming months. We're developing the software technology so that it can go in extremely remote regions and build on that. So we'll own that IP as well. That's patentable and defendable technology.
So can you help me understand the software component of the reoccurring revenue model that you have?
Sure. The software automates all of the environmental controls in the system, so that's lighting, HVAC, CO2 in the air, temperature of the water, nutrient levels. The whole thing is fully automated so that it's really simple for the operator to manage that. It also alerts the operator and us if there are any issues. So if anything is out of whack, we're notified immediately to take action on any system defects or malfunctions. Beyond that, the software also allows us to optimize. So we think that there's a big data play in the coming years when we have a network of these systems across Canada where we can actually adjust and send commands to all these systems to improve the growing conditions as we learn how to grow plants faster and better.
When the software tells you there's a problem, say, with the hardware, what's the remote support model?
Sure. We're always available by telephone, but the thing I should mention is that all the operators have a spare part of every major part that they would need for the system. So there's a spare that's sent with the system when it's sold. Beyond that, we're able to connect them to agronomists and people who know plants especially well. So if they're having problems with any pests within their system, they can deal on the plant side with that. And then they also have a contingency allocation that we've built into their business model so that they're keeping a percentage of sales aside so that if there's a significant challenge with the technology, they can fly in operators, and that makes sure that they can be sustainable and will never reach a point where they're insolvent and their business goes under.
How does the subscription revenue work? What do you charge, and how do you expect to unfold?
Currently, we charge $7,200 a year, and that's split in monthly payments. And right now, we've got server infrastructure that can scale with us, and so we want to continue doing that. Why we like the software subscription especially is because it aligns our interests with that of our growers. So we have an incentive to want to see them succeed. And so if their businesses continue doing well, we continue making money. And because of that, we think that that's a great model.
The 160,000 seems very heavy upfront capital cost. What are you doing to bring that cost down and give us some idea of where you think you'll get it to? Yep.
We've had great success with grants right now, also people who want to support the project. We've got a lot of inbound interest from the communities that we're launching in, and so when they demonstrate interest, we do the feasibility study. We have basically all of the paperwork and the assessments that are done, and we have a network of funders across Canada, including the BDC, who are willing and able to step up and assess each of the operators or potential operators, do their due diligence, and then receive the funding. I should mention that the system is still profitable with a traditional loan, so they can get it from a traditional lending institution. We assume a cost of capital of about 9%, and they're still very profitable.
Can you help us understand the business model behind Sprout and what the potential for this program is longer term?
Sure. So Sprout, we make the upfront investment, so we take on the CapEx. Beyond that, the meal packages, the DIY meal packages that we sell are sold to the consumer. The store collects that money, and we take a portion of those sales.
Your time has expired. Judges and guests, please help me in thanking the team from University of Ottawa.